Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, since everyone's talking about challengers, Matt and I decided to watch Boy Kills World. Genre films the bread and butter of The First Run, and no amount of Zendaya-led love triangles and threesomes will keep us from our revenge action films. I mean, was there even an Eiffel Tower scene in Challengers? Don't waste anyone's time. Hooked by the, I think, Matt, it was the Jon Benjamin narration, I think, is what finally made us commit to that one. Is there enough butt-kicking to save the day? Then it's on to the IFC/Shudder original Late Night with the Devil. David Dastmalchian leads the viral hit about a struggling talk show host, Matt, that tries to boost his ratings by interviewing an actually possessed kid. What could possibly go wrong? Then there's the abs-packed rundown of the big releases on physical media, featuring your streaming and Viper video picks of the week. And the return this week of the straight-to-DVD pick of the week. And finally, Matt and I are going to close out the show with a hot and spicy round of Call It. So let's start everything off, though, with a clip from Boy Kills World.
Hey, no, is it me? Help me escape. Hey, it's me. Hey. Put that down. Huh? It's me. It's me. Oh, how are you, mate? Where is everyone? Where's the rest of the team? Apple camels.
Apple what? That can't be right.
What are them? Hey? How? Dodo buns for long limbs.
Uh-oh, can't read his lips. Is he mumbling in a different language?
They will, hold on. What about Yamoy? Where is she? Yamoy. Mo parking lot.
Probably not saying that. Maybe if I concentrate, I can...
Pick up our briefcase.
Something about pickles.
Snookle boom top.
Are these words? I don't...
Dodo buns for turn to bird.
Dodo buns sound fun. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. Dodo buns are not fun.
Matt, what is Boy Kills World all about?
So it's an alternate world dystopian future where a family controls a country and it brutalizes its citizens by rounding up citizens and executing them every year or so. And a young boy has his family rounded up and killed his sister, killed his mom. But somehow he manages to survive and escape. And he is trained by a mysterious figure only known as the shaman to basically grow up and kick some ass and get his revenge. Oh, and also important to note, he lovely had his hot pokers put into his ears and his tongue cut out. So he is deaf and mute as well.
And that's where we get the Jon Benjamin narration from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his inner voice. So, Matt, how did Boy Kills World work for you? Was it another great, thrilling action kind of film with some laughs and, how did it work for you?
I wish it worked better than it did. Like, it had a lot of the elements that I was really on board for. Vague, unimportant, future dystopian world, check. Crazy action sequences that are hyper violent and very creative, check. Some funny scenes, check. People that I like in it. Jon Benjamin, Jessica Roth, all kinds of, things that I normally enjoy. For some reason, it just wasn't enough. Like, I didn't really connect with this. It wasn't as exciting as I would have hoped. It's not as crazy as I would have hoped for some reason, and not as funny as I would have hoped. It left me kind of blah, Chris, and I'm not sure why. Maybe you can explain it to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So one thing, too, I want to mention, another name that Matt didn't mention, and he was actually in Monkey Man, a film that I did see, which Matt has not had an opportunity to catch up with yet, that I think is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Sharlto Copley.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, he has become over the years one of my go-to actors. Whenever if I see his name pop up, I'm like, all right, I know I'm going to enjoy something in this film. And he's been in a few films this year, so I was very happy, and I think he's, of course, great in this as well. I love me a good genre picture. And I think we mostly get one here.
Mm-hmm.
But what's odd is that by the last quarter or so, the final act, the movie runs entirely out of steam. And it turns into this monotonous kind of sludge. as we just fumble to the ending of the movie, and I'm not quite sure what it is. When we get to the broadcast scene there, I became like entirely disinterested.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's the editing of the film, if it loses kind of its snappy kind of presentation. I don't know if the fact that I am so dedicated to Jon Benjamin that I almost feel like the film seems to waver from that for the final act too. I wonder if that's part of it. But like the big fight scene in the winter scene with the snowman, it's dull, and I don't. You can't have that kind of a final act when the whole thing kind of just falls apart like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it either. It's just like it's pretty fun. It's interesting, and then they have there's this big shift in the narrative in the film, and it all turns into this kind of dull, perfunctory kind of wrap up of a movie. And even it's weird is even the action set pieces at the end of the film too they're no longer engaging or interesting. I don't know what it is.
See, I think part of it is that one, the action set pieces, especially towards the end, as you said, they stop being creative and they become a lot more rote. Like, you don't have some of the really, dare I say, cringeworthy kills in some of this stuff, or in some of the way it's shot. Some of the action choices and the shot choices are a little different. Mm-hmm. But I think where this thing really fails is I felt like it was setting us up for almost like a video game movie where each of these family members is an escalating boss and it's just going to get more and more crazy. And that doesn't really happen. Like I wanted it to be like a hyper violent Scott Pilgrim or something where each one gets stronger and it gets more creative and maybe more out there, but it just becomes at some point just kind of like you said, it runs out of steam. He seems to have run out of ideas on how to choreograph the fight and what things to put in there. And then it just becomes very similar to a lot of what we've seen before. There's a lot of good action films out there with a lot of good fights. So you really gotta put your work in. And I think, like you said, it's successful for about 2/3 of this film, but it really loses me in the last third.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the highlight of the action was probably the fight with, what was the guy's name? Dan? When it's like the Mortal Kombat thing. Fight. Yeah. That was, I think, like unfortunately for me, like the pinnacle of the action for me. And I enjoyed Jessica Roth. I was like trying to figure out where she was from for like a good 5-10 minutes, and I remembered it's Happy Death Day. And
yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It's disappointing. So, Monkey Man also has some diversions like that, but they were much more interesting and well done. And this film too, I wonder if it's too long. Like it's just 2 hours. It tries to tell this kind of robust story about family and revenge and all this stuff, and it's just like we said. By the time we get to that final act, you just lose all engagement with the film, and it's disappointing. I think it's worth checking out maybe if you want to hit your favorite streaming site. I think it's fun enough, particularly the Jon Benjamin stuff. I think mostly all of it works entirely, but outside of that, it just kind of coasts to a stop. And I'm sitting at a C+ for Boy Kills World at the moment, and I don't know if that's even a little high. Yeah,
honestly, as I'm going through this thing, I was marking off the scores as it was going lower and lower and lower. And at one point I thought I was going to give this thing a B-. And I thought that's where we're going to end up landing. It was going to like save itself at the end. And it really doesn't. I agree wholeheartedly with Chris. I'm giving it a C+ as well. I'm very disappointed in that. But at the same time, before I knew anything about it, before I had seen a trailer, before I had heard Jon Benjamin's voice, I thought this sounded completely stupid and I had no interest in seeing it. So I guess it did something kind of right.
Yeah, I guess it was a brilliant casting call, at least by that point. It's what got me into the theater. I probably wouldn't have rushed out to see this if it wasn't for that, really.
Yeah.
And I will say, too, Yahan Ruhin is in this as well, and he's one of my favorite martial arts. He's one of those guys in martial arts action films. As soon as you see him, you'll know who he is. He had a bigger part, I think, where I first saw him was in The Raid. So, anyway, he plays the what's his name in this thing here, the shaman. So yeah, I always enjoy watching him kick some butt. So that was good. But yeah, no, it's yeah. There's really not much more to say. I mean, what do you think about Skarsgård? How did he equate himself there? I remember I was watching. What was I watching? Something online about when they do that shot. Was it Jackman? I can't remember. When they do the shirt off shot when they're all ripped in the abs and how miserable the actors are and what they need to do to get to that point where they basically starve and dehydrate themselves.
Yeah.
And then they shoot all those scenes like in a day, so they can get them all ticked off, and then he gets to wear his vest then for the rest of the film.
Right.
But how do you think Skarsgård equated himself as a boy in this, as an action star per se?
It's tough to say. I think he's very capable with the action. I mean, he's believable for the most part with the kung fu fighting and everything else. I think his physicality is enough. He obviously doesn't have really much of a personality because he can't really speak or emote. So he's kind of like a blank slate. And I think he was okay. I mean, I'd be curious to see what he can do if he can actually, talk and actually give us a character.
Yeah. And I like some of the ideas in this too. That's what probably makes it a little bit frustrating for me. Like with Jessica Rotz, her character's name is June 27. Right, I think that's fun. I like that her character emotes through the helmet. Right, you get to see the visor is kind of relays the words or her thoughts every now and then. Right, there's a lot of fun little ideas in this, and that's what it is. I think it's just half baked. You have all these interesting thoughts and concepts, but then, like I said, it just peters out. If you got a chance to see Boy Kills World, it is currently playing in theaters. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. Matt, what's coming up on Blu-ray and physical media this upcoming Tuesday? Oh, I got a new song for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's start that off.
Jumping in my pickup truck, hoping to get some luck down at Viper Video. Gonna check out the latest Blu-rays and 4Ks while I crank up the radio. Gonna wrestle me up a sixer, pick up my best girl. It's a movie night.
Now, see, it cuts off. I don't get my ha. I can't tell you how angry I was. It drops my ha from my yee-ha.
But you got a wrestling out of there.
I did in my sixer, and I tried to rhyme at least some part of it. So video and radio. I don't know if that passes muster.
Very nice, very good.
I'll have to see what we come up with next week for a good. Do you have a preference, Matt? Is there any kind of genre you'd like to hear for next week?
Yeah. So these are my requests going forward. I would like to hear a metal version of this, and I would also like to hear like a 70s funk, like R&B version of this.
Okay, we'll have to see what we can do. All right, here's something that's coming out next week.
Stay down. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
He can't see us. He's not telling us to look over this wall, babe. Trust.
Chad's right. He can't see us.
He's right, man. Fuck. Huh? Okay. See? I told you can't get in.
So that is a full moon feature, Matt, called Bad CGI Gator. Terror rendered too cheaply. It's about 6 college grads who get a cabin in the swamplands of Georgia. They decide to throw their school laptops in a backyard lake in an act of youthful defiance, which unknowingly turns an alligator into a dreaded and insatiable CGI creature. And you got to watch the trailer for this. It is... Well, it pays off on its promised title.
Okay.
I'll tell you that much at least.
All right. I'm looking forward to this.
I love that the gator is knocking on the door and then hits the doorbell. Actually, they think they might be safe. That's your straight to DVD pick of the week. And we decided to bring it back because Shelby's not carrying bad CGI Gator at the moment, I think. So we try and keep something you can actually buy on his website. But all right, let's start our countdown then, shall we? That sounds like a plan.
Number 5.
One from the Heart. Coppola's film featuring Frederick Forrest, Terry Garr, Raul Julia, and Natasha Kinski is being released in 4K. Hank and Franny don't seem to be able to live together anymore, Matt. After a 5-year relationship, lustful and dreamy Fanny leaves down-to-earth Hank on the anniversary of their relationship. Each one of them meets their dream mate, but as bright as they seem, they are but stages of lights and colors. Will true love prevail over seemingly glamorous passion? Welcome to Coppola's Broadway-like romantic musical. A whole bunch of new featurettes on the making of this one is included, and some archival ones as well. And that'll be available in 4K and Blu-ray. So, yeah.
4.
Night Falls on Manhattan is being released by Arrow. This is a Sidney Lumet film featuring Andy Garcia, Richard Dreyfuss, Lena Olin, and James Gandolfini. Get a brand new 2K restoration on that one. Archival commentary, including one by Lumet, as well as one by Andy Garcia, and some other featurettes included in that as well.
Can you hit it from there?
I got 3 shots. That's enough.
Can't argue with a confident man.
Actually coming out on May 8th, A24 is putting out either a 4K or a Blu-ray digibook of Stop Making Sense. They did that 4K restoration last year, which we did for the show. It was great to see that in the theater. It has a whole bunch of cool pictures and like replicas of the tickets and stuff like that, but they're not like physical pieces of media. They're more just pictures of them. And here's the thing. You get the bonus song Cities, Big Business, and I, Zimbra. You get the Dolby Atmos mix as well as the 1984 stereo mix. You get a 25-minute documentary of the film. You get Demi's commentary, which was recorded in 1999, as well as David Byrne rehearsal tape, which is on archival VHS footage. Here's the problem. A24 is charging $58 for this in 4K.
Wow. That's crazy.
$60.
That's like Criterion prices.
Not even. Criterion's 4Ks are $50.
So close.
I just 60. I would have picked this up, but not at $60. I just
yeah, fair enough.
I can't justify it. So there you go. That's coming out, and the Blu-ray's a little cheaper. It's like $5 cheaper, not much. And then so that's I got a new number 2 here, but it's a little out of genre.
That's a number 2.
That's a story of floating weeds as well. It's being released as a 2-pack from Criterion. It's the pair of Ozu films is a 34 silent classic, the story of floating weeds, and then his revisit to the film just as floating weeds. And floating weeds will be a 4K disc. The other one will be a traditional Blu-ray. You get a high definition digital master of a story of a floating weeds. So, and also includes a commentary as well. And then the big one, Matt. Well, I wonder, Matt, you going to pick this one up?
There can be only one.
The Crow is being released in 4K. Now, there's a couple international steelbooks, and Walmart actually has one of them. So if you couldn't get the UK, I think the UK steelbook looks better, and that's the one Walmart is going to carry. There's also a traditional release as well. It's a brand new 4K restoration of that. New making of featurettes, a brand new interview, and then archival commentaries, and some extended scenes, and a deleted scene montage. Matt, I think I only owned The Crow on VHS.
Wow.
So I'll probably be picking this up at some point. What about you?
Yeah, I think I have it on DVD. I would definitely upgrade this, but again, it's not like I love it so much I would just like run out and buy it like money is no object. It'd have to reach a certain price point before I pick it up.
Agreed. I did jump on the Civil War 4K.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, the Amazon had a sale and they had like an exclusive digital extra, and it was like $23 for the 4K.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pre-order that because I really, really enjoyed that film, and now it's up to $35.
Yeah.
And I that first week when they announce it, it's usually $10 off. And the Amazon exclusive ones, they've done a couple other ones, and they've sold out.
Right.
So we'll see. I'm probably some really stupid extra, though, so what the hell do I know? All right, Matt, your Viper video pick of the week. I'm going to go with Turkish Star Trek.
Ooh.
Are you familiar with Turkish Star Trek?
I am not.
So there's a whole genre of film called Turksploitation, which is a tongue-in-cheek label given to a great number of Turkish low-budget exploitation films that are either remakes of or unauthorized footage from popular foreign films, or Hollywood movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So Omar the Tourist in Star Trek is a 1973 cult comedy drama science fiction film, and the Enterprise visits Matt M113, where Dr. McCoy's old girlfriend Nancy and her husband Professor Crater harbor a secret. Nancy is really a shape-shifting creature who kills for salt. So, which is,
Salt
one of the
vampire,
actual
yeah.
episodes.
Right.
So Professor Crater pulls Omar on the point of being forced into a shotgun wedding from his time zone, reasoning that Captain Kirk and Mr. Spack will blame him for the murders of the crewmen. Omar beams aboard the Enterprise, creating havoc, especially irritating Mr. Spack. During the course of the movie, Kirk battles androids, a Gorn-like creature, and even Mr. Spack, after Nancy assumes the shape of T'Pau, a Vulcan. The creature is defeated by Kirk, Spack, and McCoy, and Omar returns to his shotgun wedding. So there's a Turkish Superman. There's a ton of these films. So there you go. You can pick that up over at Viper Video right now on DVD for a mere $8.
Nice. Sounds
What
fun.
should we be streaming this week?
So I'm going to recommend, I randomly managed to catch this and I forgot how much I enjoyed this film. Weird Al's one and only starring role, as far as I'm aware, in a film, UHF. In 1989, there used to be a thing called VHF and UHF kids, and basically it's the story about him inheriting a essentially local cable television show, and he starts putting on a bunch of weird, wacky shows in order to, keep it going. It's basically sketch comedy with Weird Al. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a slice of 80s cheese. Available on MGM, Fubo, Tubi, Pluto, wherever you have access to any of those.
Nice. I think they just announced the other day too. There's a 4K of that coming out. I think
nice.
from a Shout Factory.
Nice.
And again, the website for Viper Video is vipervideotampa.com.
Nice.
All right, Matt. Let's keep rolling and spend a few minutes talking about the viral sensation, breaking streaming records for Shudder. Let's spend a few minutes with Late Night with the Devil.
Now, Lily, I understand that you have a name for this thing that lives inside of you.
Mm-hmm. I call him Mr. Wriggles.
And why do you call him that?
He kind of wriggles his way inside my head, and then he wriggles his way out.
But with June's help, you are able to control him.
June says that everyone has a demon inside them. But we can't always control them, can we?
No, it gets pretty rough. Mine's more gassy. So, Matt, late night. Yeah, it is Late Night with the Devil. It's funny, my notes say last night, but because I'm dumb. So, what do we have here? We have David Dastmalchian, which I think I just nailed, stars as a late night host, and his Jack Delroy, Matt, he's always been chasing the big numbers. He's wanted to be the number one late night talk show host, but he's never quite been able to pull it off. His ratings are dropping, and things don't look good because he's up for contract renewal. So he starts bringing in more kind of weird guests, some stuff trying to kind of boost ratings and stuff. And as a last-ditch effort for Halloween night, he decides to bring on a young girl and her psychiatrist or occult therapist, parapsychologist, thank you, and this young girl who's possessed. And then, of course, Matt, as things tend to do, things go horribly, horribly wrong. Matt, what are your thoughts on Late Night with the Devil? Does it deserve all the viral sensation? A lot of people seem to really love it. Rotten Tomatoes, it's like in the 90s, I think, a low 90s score. Mm-hmm. So how did it work for you? Was it a haunt worth taking?
Yeah, I think so. I enjoyed the aesthetic of the 70s variety show or late night talk show. I liked, that they were using the kind of found footage idea, but they weren't like super committing to it. I think there's some really disturbing stuff in this. I think it's not necessarily suspenseful, but it is kind of unsettling while you sit there and watch this. And I think overall it's pretty effective. Now, I think the climax may be a little VHF-y, something like you would see in a short from like one of the later entries in the VHF series, or VHS. God, I'm still talking about UHF, VHS series. But overall, I thought it's pretty effective. I think the idea is pretty cool. It's got kind of a Ghost Watch vibe. I rather enjoyed it. I'm glad that a small, indie horror film that kind of is carving out a little bit of a niche for itself, and it's got some legs. So I'm kudos to the creators on that one.
So, Matt, here's the thing. Okay. Have you seen the WNUF Halloween special?
No, I have not.
So I had blind bought this a couple years ago, and I was able to get it with the cool show at the Matt. You can Google it too, folks. It's the it looks like a VHS kind of cover, and it reads like WNUF Halloween special, and it basically is a bunch of people. They try and do like a news special, like Ghost Watch, I guess, kind of in a way, where they go into this haunted house as a little news gimmicky thing, except it's real. But the conceit of the film is that the whole thing takes place like, I think, what is it, in the early 80s? Yeah, 87. And it maintains that feel all the way through. It looks like it's shot on VHS, right? And then they have actually fake commercials as well. They're not real. They're kind of gags, but still, it really commits to the bit. And that's my problem with Late Night with the Devil, is it doesn't commit to the bit.
Okay.
I think it works really well for the vast majority of the runtime. But at the end, it basically abandons its kind of found footage feel to it. And then we get this weird, altered, reality thing for Delroy, where he's going through everything, and there's just twisted, warped versions of everything. And I think it just fumbled the ending. And there's another thing too, is that I have the same issue that I think they have with Brooklyn 45, which we saw last year. Give me a filter or something that gives the film, I think, you can give me wavy lines once in a while and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like I need some kind of aesthetic cue as well that's consistent throughout the entire runtime that reminds me of the fact that we're watching something, that's from the late 70s. So I don't know. I enjoyed a lot of it. I think Dastmalchian is really fun and entertaining in this film. Did you know he's only 4 days older than me? I saw that when I was doing my research.
Oh, really?
4 whole days.
Wow.
Yeah. So July 21st. And I almost think, too, that there's a weird thing where they make it look like there's something going on between him and the parapsychologist, and there may very well be, but I don't really run that down at all. And part of me was thinking, was he kind of responsible? Did he, poison his wife? Is that what happened? So we could be with her, maybe? But no, because there's also this cult angle that, again, is a big part of the conclusion of the film that I just also feel like we just didn't really do enough with. I don't know. I just like our first film, I was just kind of disappointed by the end of this thing.
Yeah, I think you're being I can see what you're saying. I think you're maybe being a little too harsh on the film. I think it's ultimately more successful than Boy Kills World.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And I didn't mind the kind of diversion from the found footage. I was fine with them not being completely beholden to the bit, if you will. But, I agree with you, the kind of viral, rapturous reception from this, if even just looking at the numbers from Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's good. It's not anything groundbreaking. It's not earth-shattering, but it's it'll have a cult audience. It'll be something that you think is a decent indie horror film, but otherwise, it's nothing particularly special. I just think it's so hard to even get a good horror film at all that I think it's, just by the very fact that it's decent is something to at least praise.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. There are some good, interesting things in it. I think there are times it is kind of scary-ish, and I don't know if I'm just so jaded and stuff now too, where I need to be on the edge of my seat, almost crying because I'm so scared nowadays. But it is an entertaining enough film. I enjoyed it. Again, I was a little disappointed by the ending of it. I don't know why they couldn't run with the found footage conceit throughout the entire film. Well, I don't see why they had to abandon it. I don't understand that.
Right.
I don't know if they just didn't know how to end the film. Like maybe they had all these great ideas for this thing, or the one thing they couldn't figure out is, well, how do we wrap this up? But yeah, I don't know. That's my critique of it. But it's a big enough critique, Matt, where on this one too, I think I'm sitting like at a C+ again.
I think Chris is being a little too harsh on it. I'm gonna give it a B-. I think it's fine. Like I think it's fun. It's good. If you like horror films, it's a fun time, and I think that's okay. So one thing I do want to ask you, Chris, where do you come down? How did you feel about this whole CG, AI controversy from this? Because I was reading some of the Letterboxd reviews, and it's just wild to me. People are like, "Oh, I saw the AI in the film, and I was literally crying, and I couldn't even watch the film," and just like all this apoplectic stuff about how, regardless if the film is entertaining or not, it's like the worst thing, since Charles Manson to put this thing out there because it's got an AI skeleton in it.
Yeah, I mean, this was my cinematic 9/11, and no, it's listen. From what I understand, that this film has been shopped around for a couple years now, doing the festival run. And it was done like a year or two ago, before all the stuff with AI blew up. Do I have a problem with AI art? Yes, I very much so do. Even though I'm a bit of a hypocrite myself, because we've been using these AI songs as basically just a gag
Sure.
For the last couple of weeks. But I think I don't think there's any true artistry in AI in any capacity, because all it can do is pull on stuff that previously exists and kind of mesh it in and make something new out of it, which is whatever. Do I have an issue with this? No, because again, it was around before all this blew up, and it's not central really for me to the core of the film. So I think it sucks, but that wasn't a factor in my grading of the film.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a flashcard of a little, a dumb thing for all of maybe 20 seconds of total runtime. I think people are making a mountain out of a molehill here. They really want this.
If you couldn't watch it because of that, like it triggered some kind of psychotic or some deep-held trauma, like you were abused by a keyboard when you were a kid or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's not like, it's not like we're not at the point yet where they can just, recreate a completely indistinguishable from real life Carrie Fisher and just put her in the next Star Wars film just because they can. That is going to be, that's coming, and that's going to be awful when it happens. But like a few images, especially given the time period of when they made this film, I think people need to chill out a little bit. I mean, there's bigger AI battles to fight than to lose your mind over this one.
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. So I appreciate that you and I are both on board with that. I know things can get a little testy around here on First Run headquarters, so that's good. So would you end up giving it B-, right?
Yeah, B-. I mean, I was going to, be a dick and say, like, when you were talking about, it just takes from other people and just builds on what they've done before to make something new. And I was going to be like, well, isn't that every artist, man? Isn't that all they do? Aren't you just an amalgamation of your influences that you put into your own work?
Well, yeah. I guess how regressive do you want to get? Like all songs, right?
There's
basically variations of the same three chords, basically.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I'm just being. It was just to be a dick. That's all.
Well, it is what you do best.
So. I know. That's why you keep me around.
If you're a fan of Late Night with the Devil and you have a region-free player, Umbrella Entertainment announced basically an hour before we started recording this show a Night Owls Fan Club Blu-ray edition of this film that, I'm going to be honest with you, looks sharp as all hell. Mm-hmm. Includes a Blu-ray, which you can get with a rigid slipcase. There's a VHS containing the original broadcast cut, a replica of TV Guide with press kit and articles and ads and featurettes, a 48-page book, Conversations with the Devil. They replicate the book that they show in the beginning as well. And there's some art cards, a poster, and it's a limited numbered edition as well. They want $87 for this bad bear, but that's also U.S. dollars coming from Australia.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
I don't know, like your Grindhouse videos and your Diabolic DVDs will likely be carrying it here domestically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm perusing like Diabolic right now, and I am not. Like I said, they just announced it, so I'm assuming that Jesse over there will be picking this up. But I'm gonna tell you, Matt. Even though I give the film a C+, this set looks so cool. I would almost buy it. It is really well done by Umbrella. I haven't bought any Umbrella media yet. So like they put out Possession, but I'm waiting for Second Sight. They have one coming out. I think Hitcher too. They have a 4K. But Second Sight, I believe, is working on a Hitcher transfer as well, their own version of it. So yeah. So there you go, folks. If you've had a chance to see Late Night with the Devil, just email feedback@thefirstrun.com. It is currently streaming on Shudder and like one show a night at the theaters around me. At a couple of them, you can still pick it up, check it out there.
Nice.
Though by the time this show drops, probably will be gone. All right, let's close things out, Matt, with a rundown of Call It. We're going to present each other with a couple Sophie's choices, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions. So let's get rolling.
Drop it, Professor, and behind you.
It's funny, I thought you'd turn up sooner or later. Sit down.
The girl talked.
But of course. I was suspicious at the Queen's Club, anyhow. When it turned out you were the only one who'd seen Strangway's new secretary. And then later at the lab, you made no reference to the fact that Strangway's samples were radioactive.
Very clever, Mr. Bond. But you're up against more than you know. You shoot me and you'll end up like Strangway's.
And you killed him?
He was killed, but never mind how.
Who are you working for, Professor?
Well, you might as well know, as you won't live to use the information. I'm working for...
Mr. Smith & Wesson. And you've had your 6.
Cold to Smith & Wesson, and you've had your 6. I've always loved that line. That, of course, is from Dr. No, Sean Connery's debut as James Bond. Sam Van Halgermatt of Film Spotting, I think the podcast that inspired this show back in the day, put an interesting little survey out there on Twitter. There were a bunch of franchises that were launched in 1960, or at least just say in the 60s. And you only get to choose one, and you get the rest of these films, all right?
Okay.
The rest of them are gone forever, which is, of course, the conceit of Call It.
Okay.
Dr. No.
Okay.
Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
Psycho.
So I can only pick one of those?
Yep. And the rest of them all go away for evs.
Wow. Okay, so out of all of those, I think 2 are stone cold masterpieces. Okay? Psycho and Night of the Living Dead.
Correct.
And I will have to say, Night of the Living Dead spawned some good, maybe to great sequels, whereas Psycho did not. So obviously Psycho is so far up here, like it would kill me to say it, but I think I have to go with Night of the Living Dead just because as a body of work, it's, there's more to it.
So the only thing I would say, and somebody responded to the poll with this point, and I agree entirely, is that out of all of those films, probably the most interesting sequels, at least the swings and the chances they take, is Psycho. There's a lot of weird, different things that they do with the rest of those films. 2, 3, and particularly 3 and 4. Well, 2, yeah, they're all oddly interesting and good in their own way, I think. Now, obviously, for me, the layup, it's James Bond. I could not live in a world, I think, that did not have the Bond franchise.
Sure. It
was so influential to me in my life. So if you take that out, right, and now it's just Planet of the Apes, Night of the Living Dead, and Psycho, I'm probably leaning towards your case right there with Night of the Living Dead because I enjoy all of Romero's films, even like Survival of the Dead.
Right.
Yeah, it would be difficult, but Psycho is so good. If I had to choose the best film out of all of them, it would be Psycho.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hands down. Yeah.
And sorry, I'll be honest, I've never seen like the OG Planet of the Apes films. I've seen like parts of the first one, never the whole thing from start to finish.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot more talky and philosophical debatey than you would think a film about sentient monkeys would be.
I don't know. I would think it'd be pretty chock full of philosophy and talkies.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
All right, so this is going to be a really long one, Chris. So just bear with me, okay?
Oh,
I'm going to give you multiple choices. So I want to resurrect the Quentin Tarantino Dreamcast list of Pulp Fiction. Okay, where he listed out all of the actors that he considered for various roles. So I'm gonna go through 4 characters. We're gonna take who originally played them out of the picture. Don't even think about them. And of what's left, I want you to give me what your pick is. All right.
Okay.
All right. So for Mia, would you rather have Jennifer Beals, Pam Grier, Phoebe Cates, or Angela Bassett?
12-year-old Chris. To this day, still has an unending crush on Phoebe Cates.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most beautiful women that ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Grier is a really fun idea.
It is, but that completely changes the whole feel of how that works.
And what was it? Angela Lansbury, you said?
Angela Bassett.
I'd probably go Cates, just for the hell of it.
Yeah. I think I would go Jennifer Beals because A, that woman is gorgeous and she has not aged a day.
True.
And she is kind of a dancing icon as well, so I feel like it would have meshed together. But again, she was much older than me than Uma Thurman, so it would have been a very different dynamic.
Yeah.
All right, so for Jules, this is written for Larry Fishburne, aka Lawrence Fishburne, or Lawrence Fishburne or Eddie Murphy were 2 other contenders for Jules.
I would have to go Fishburne. I just think Murphy would. It just, again, like you said, the film would have changed entirely. And then, though the idea of him and Travolta going back and forth, though I'm assuming you're going to give me a Vincent Vega soon.
Oh yeah.
I just it would have been too much. He's just too big a star. It just it would have taken it. Just I don't think it would have worked.
All right. So for Butch, played by Chris's beloved Bruno, Johnny Depp or Chef's Kiss. I wish it had happened. Nick Cage.
Oh, Cage, for sure.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that performance. I think it would just be so incredibly unhinged, especially when they go into the Gimp dungeon.
Yeah,
it'd be fantastic. Nick Cage.
He probably would have been angry he couldn't have played the Gimp. Yeah.
He probably could have, just do some creative cutting. That's all. All right, so finally, for Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta. So we had the runners were Alec Baldwin, Gary Oldman, Denzel Washington, or Michael Keaton.
So Oldman, Denzel, Keaton, and who was the other one?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. Ooh, no. I can't see any of them. Man, it really shows you how much Pulp Fiction was just a lightning in a bottle kind of film that with the perfect casting choices.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to. I don't want Baldwin in that role. Keaton, one more time. Not Alec Baldwin, not Michael Keaton. The other 2.
Denzel or Gary Oldman.
So it's between Oldman and Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Keaton's has more of a cool factor.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose one out of those. And Denzel,
Denzel's too handsome. He's too smooth.
Yeah. All right, so what am I going? Keaton? I guess I'm going Keaton. Wow. All right. Even though he shows up in 2 other Tarantino films playing the same guy. Nicolette, right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, I think I would go with Michael Keaton too. I think it would be an interesting dynamic if you had Michael Keaton and Lawrence Fishburne as our 2 erstwhile. Can you imagine Lawrence Fishburne in a Jerry curl afro? That would be just wild to me.
Well, I'm picturing Michael Keaton with the long, slick back hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think they would have changed the look at all? I think so. Okay. Because honestly, those 2 seem much more menacing and threatening as opposed to bumbling for Sam Jackson and John Travolta do through most of the film.
I agree. What do you think about when people say there are a core group of people that say that Jackie Brown is his best film.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always I fall down to the fact that like I don't, even though I really like Jackie Brown, I don't see how it can be because he didn't like write it from scratch, you know?
I think those core group of people who say that's his best film are probably not people who really like Tarantino, right? They may respect it or they may like bits of it, but they don't like really what he's doing because it's a very much more straightforward film. He didn't write it. It doesn't have his dialogue. You know, his direction doesn't have that. It's much more of a straightforward him directing a film. And I like Jackie Brown, but it's the one that sticks out the most as one thing not being like the other. And I just don't think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah. All right. Man, I can't... I struggled this week. So I feel like I may have actually asked you this before now, so I feel like a dum-dum. Am I a dum-dum? So, what has been for you the more consistent action franchise then? John Wick or Mission Impossible?
I mean, I think that's an easy answer for me, John Wick. I think all four of those are a banger. Whereas I am on record as not thinking the first three of the Mission Impossible films are that great. I don't think they really stepped it up a notch and really did a lot for that franchise with the fourth one, which is that Ghost Protocol or Rogue Nation?
Ghost Protocol.
Yeah. The first one's fine, very straightforward. The second one is just wild. Like, John Woo was just the wrong choice. It is a weird, jarring film to watch.
Very much a film of its time.
It is, but
really is.
It is not even in remotely timeless as the other ones are. Third one is not great either, although, that's certainly elevated by Philip Seymour Hoffman. But I think as consistency beginning to end, it's got to be John Wick.
Yeah, Hoffman's my favorite villain of the franchise, and it is when Bad Robot kind of steps in and redirects and then revitalizes, I think, the Mission Impossible franchise at that point. I like the Palmas film, but it's much more of a traditional kind of Cold War spy thriller type thing than it is an action film.
Yeah.
It's a John Woo film. Mm-hmm. And then I think, but I enjoy 3, but like you said, mostly because of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Because what originally I had John Wick or Fury Road.
Ooh.
But for me, I'm trying to think what my favorite Wick film is. Is it the fourth one, or if it's still the first one?
I think.
And then which one would I put up against Fury Road?
Yeah, honestly, obviously, as a franchise, I still think John Wick wins. I think it's stronger when you take the totality of all the Mad Max films. It still beats it out, but Fury Road, I think, beats pretty much anything that you put up against it as far as an action movie goes.
Yeah, if I had to go franchise, you're right. I'd probably go with the Wicks. But if I had to choose one action film, the definitive action film of the past 20 years, it probably would be Fury Road. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah,
what do you got?
So. All right. So I saw somebody talking about the Cornetto trilogy again, and I'm just going to throw it out there. So pick one: Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, or World's End. Which is the one you're keeping, and which is the one you're jettisoning?
Well, I'm jettisoning the World's End, even though I think it's the most well-structured, confident, and adult kind of film of the three. Mm-hmm. It's, for me, the least amount of fun. Mm-hmm. So then it comes down to Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And since my heart will always be with zombies and horror films, I guess I got to go Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've warmed on The World's End. I like it a lot more now than I did when I first saw it, and I really do enjoy Shaun of the Dead. It's an excellent, obviously destined to be a classic. But for me, Hot Fuzz is criminally underappreciated. It takes everything that's great about Shaun of the Dead and cranks it, and it's just a perfect amalgamation of a loving spoof and homage to action films taking place in a tiny English hamlet, and it's lovely. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can't really disagree with you. All right, Matt, here's my last one for you. I've been going back and forth on horror films and the like, and Luca's got Challengers out, and I was thinking about how much I enjoyed his Suspiria film. Mm-hmm. Even it's kind of a different animal than the original, though I think is a nice homage to it. But if you had to keep one horror film, Matt, what would it be? The original Argento's Suspiria, or would you go with The Shining?
I think I'd go with The Shining. As interesting as Suspiria is, and the kind of wild color palette and the kind of over-the-topness of it, I think the kind of unsettling nature of The Shining and what the one time Kubrick did it, I think is you got to go with that, because you got plenty of other examples from Argento that you can go to.
Yeah, I just love the kaleidoscope madness that is Suspiria so much, but it doesn't dig into my psyche, into my soul, the way The Shining does whenever I watch it. Whenever I watch Shining now too, I will only watch it with headphones on.
Okay.
I need to have the full kind of sensory experience, because even with I sadly don't get to watch a lot of the stuff in my home theater in the living room with the the 7.1 surround and all that, because the missus is usually here and she does not like horror films. So I only once in a while when she's vacationing can I really crank that sucker up. But when I watch The Shining with my I got this really nice kind of Sony, they replicate surround sound too, and I think they can play a Dolby Atmos signal, but you can hear the chanting subtly, like in the back, and all the little stuff that happens throughout the film. I think in the end I'd have to go Shining, but Suspiria is it's a once in a while kind of treat if I'm really feeling, I don't know, something a little different, something a little weird. But I think in the end I had to choose one. It'd be The Shining.
How do you get that to work? Is it Bluetooth, or does it have a dongle?
Yeah.
Okay, it is Bluetooth.
It connects to the Blu-ray player, a 4K player.
Okay. I wonder if mine is too old to have a Bluetooth connection. I'll have to look into it. All right, so mine was, this is a dumb one, and I apologize because I was running out of time here. I'm by myself for the past week running the show. All right, so we've got two M. Night Shyamalan joints coming up, and we finally got the trailers for both of them. So, Chris, I'm hoping you've at least had the chance to see them both. But Trap or The Watchers? Based on those trailers, which one are you more gunning for?
Well, I haven't seen either of them.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
I will say I saw that supposedly that with Trap, I read online that it kind of reveals one of the whole conceit of the film in the trailer.
It does.
So I decided I'm just not going to watch it. Okay. I think I read kind of what it's about.
Sure.
So, but hopefully I didn't get it quite correct. So I don't know, and I will not be watching them. So I'll ask you, Matt, which one are you more excited about? Two films that I have no idea what they're about.
Yeah, so I think I'm more on board with Watchers. It's got kind of a supernatural monster vibe, and I think I'm more on board with that. So I think that's what I'm interested in. The conceit of the film for Trap is interesting, but it gets revealed within probably the first 20 minutes. And so that can't be the twist. And I've already started trying to figure out what the twist is. I think I know what it is, but I have my guesses, but I'm not going to throw it out there because I don't want to spoil Chris at all. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think Watchers seems much more interesting, whereas Trap seems fun, but much more straightforward.
There you go. All right, folks, those are your call-outs for this week. What choices would you make? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. So, Matt, we heard from Shauna. I haven't heard from quite a while. But Shauna says, big Snyder head here. So I think it's because we had mentioned Sucker Punch the other week.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know about that. So, but Shauna's a big fan of the ultimate cut of Watchmen, which is pretty solid, supposedly, as we say here. Now, have you seen the final cut or the ultimate cut of Watchmen? I don't think I have.
Yeah, I don't think
is that the one where the animated segments kind of popped back in?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. I don't hate Watchmen as much as a lot of other people do. I think it looks very cool, and there are parts that are really good, and there are parts that are really bad. I'd be curious to see the ultimate cut and see what that's like.
Yeah, I think I have the director's cut, I think, on Blu-ray with the lenticular cover, but I have not seen the Ultimate Cut, which I think is the one with the animated segments kind of inserted back into it, so it's much more like the graphic novel reads.
So is Sean implying that there is an Ultimate Cut of Sucker Punch out there somewhere that I should be getting my hands on?
No. I think it's because we had mentioned that Snyder wanted to do a new director's cut.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no. Let's hope not.
Come on, you want to watch it again. You want to revisit it.
I would rather watch Watchmen again or check out this Ultimate Cut if I can somehow.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's on Max. Probably not.
Probably. Well, it might be. Well, but anyway, thanks for reaching out, Sean. It's always nice to hear from you. It's been a while.
Absolutely. So that's going to be it for this week, Matt. What's coming up next week on the big show?
Well, summer movie season kicks off, and the winner of our summer bracket is the first one we're going to see. So this could be very anticlimactic, folks, but we're going to go check out The Fall Guy, starring the always delightful Ryan Gosling.
Looking forward to that one, absolutely. In the meantime, you can check us out at thefirstrun.com, find archives of all the old shows, as well as a report card and more. Then head on over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you'll find us. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. It'll help other people find the show. And I guess that's what they say is all that. So we're going to go ahead and take an extended break. Just so you know, we love you all very much. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Watch out! Oh, that's Dave's. Yeah, he's got a lot of issues. You can take him. Good luck.
Round 3. Fight.
Fuck you, Dave!